My name is Vinny Ramirez, and I am the Director of Sales Engineers or Solution Engineering for SpectroCloud. We're a Kubernetes management solution, and we've been using Instruct for about a year now. Yeah, so Instruct has actually been really good for us. I found the tool early on. We were first trying to solve some internal challenges of sharing labs. So our own public cloud subscriptions had some restrictions for internal use where we basically step on each other, right? We would exhaust the default limits of public IP addresses and other things like that. And when you're trying to demo as a team, you don't want to run into those types of issues live in front of a customer. Instead of creating our own platform or system to manage ephemeral cloud key and subscription creation, we knew about Instruct. I knew about it from a previous role. Reached out to you guys, and that was kind of our first use case. So outside of internal stuff of just us being able to do our own testing and sandboxing and doing it in a way where we're forced to clean up after ourselves, which is a great use case for Instruct, by the way. It's really good for us when we come across a customer that's interested in our solution, but yet very restricted in their own environment. So it's not easy for them to get a hold of public cloud keys that don't come with heavy restrictions that have already been baked into those keys. They're not allowed to do certain things. They may not be allowed to create their own networks and things like that across the different clouds. So when we're able to bring them into the Instruct platform, we can give them a very clean sandbox experience that removes a lot of those barriers out of their way so they can immediately get into our product and start seeing the value of it instead of opening tickets and chasing people down because every turn they take, they're hitting some kind of wall, right? We're in a world today where people want to touch and feel your software. So Instruct is really good at guiding them through that experience and especially helping people that maybe aren't the most technical. They know enough, they can run some command line executions and whatnot, but they don't have to be super deep in the technology. So being able to present them with a cloud subscription or a terminal embedded with whatever CLI tools you need has been amazing, especially in the Kubernetes space. I mean, a lot of people are cuddling or however you want to pronounce that, right? And being able to install things like Helm or even Git just right there at their fingertips and then passing them instructions, do this, copy this command, run this, did you see what it did? And then connecting that back to our value prop has been amazing. Some of the things that we can show is two sides of the coin for us. We're selling to the operator side of the house, right? Your traditional infrastructure teams that are more concerned with, say, provisioning infrastructure than when it relates to Kubernetes and things like that. So we're able to show them without the barriers of testing in their own environment, here's how you can use our tool to create Kubernetes clusters, make it a repeatable process, and what that would look like for you. On the other side in Instruct, we're able to say, if you're a developer persona, you don't really care about building a cluster, here's one that's already built. It doesn't really matter to you how it got there, but what matters to you is what else can SpectroCloud, through some of our layering technologies, actually add to your experience. So really getting the best of both worlds and being able to separate, this is what matters to you as an operator, this is what matters to you as a consumer or user of a technology. So that example I gave you was more like that intimate setting with the customer. The other half of this is doing things publicly, where we can have a webinar or something, we can do some demos live, but then maybe as a leave behind, say, what you just saw, you can go do yourself. When you're on a break from work or when you have the time out of your busy day, come back to this platform, do some testing on us. Walk through these steps. You don't have a cloud expenditure as a result of that. And then we have the peace of mind knowing once somebody's consumed the platform, we can time bomb it. You got 4 hours, you got 8 hours, you got 3 days with this, and confidently know that we don't have resources just running out there. It's been great. We've had the ability to host some hands-on workshops, whether that's either in a private setting for a customer where we bring some of their team members together. What's really cool about doing that is you can invite members from different teams that aren't necessarily like going to be the owner of that technology. So we can bring in Kubernetes folks that may be more concerned with security. versus being a true developer that needs to consume and deploy code into a namespace. You can bring them all to the same table and walk them through some guided exercises that will expose people to what you're trying to show them in your own solution, but in a way that's palatable to them. I don't have to be intimidated by kubectl commands if I'm not on a daily basis using a terminal, but I can copy and paste things out of Instruct, and I'm following along and I feel part of the conversation instead of just checking out. Yeah, so it's a tool in my team's tool belt. So as most people know in sales, you can get bogged down in POC or POV activities where people kind of open-end things. Like, I just want to kick the tires. If you want to kick the tires, that's great. Instruct is perfect for that. And we'll even give you the instructions of where to kick the tire. Try this. If they need to do more in-depth testing, and most customers will ultimately want to do something in their own subscription or their own environment, Instruct can at least lay a foundation so that when you move into that testing, you're not spending a lot of idle time bringing a customer to a certain level to where they're ready to quickly get in and do a test in their own environment and get out versus a really drawn out sales process. And it's become a really good tool for like peers within an organization, when you're kind of at the architectural or technologist level, to share and say, hey, we'll let you use this, please share it with your peers, anybody interested. And then again, it's kind of that self-service, when I have the time, I'll take a look at this. And I think a lot of people like that accomplished feeling of, I actually did something. I deployed an application or built a Kubernetes cluster, and instead of just like reading a blog or watching a webinar where someone else did it. Like I said, it's given us as a team an internal solution to doing quick testing and doing it in a way where when you're on the go and you don't shut things down, they get shut down for you. So we get some cost control out of that internally. It gives us another touch point with customers and a way to engage with them. So when we do pass off the invite to Instruct, we get the metrics back. Did they actually use it? Did they complete it? So this also gives us visibility into their level of interest in the solution and their commitment to us. Are you even willing to do a hands-on lab that takes an hour? If you're not, should we really commit 2 to 3 weeks or months to doing open-ended testing with you? So it really helps kind of create some checks and balances in the sales cycle without being pushy.